going to be benefited from education. We all are from the other side, either managers of education or teachers or professors or some provider something. So, and I think I have been pointing this issue within the government also and as a professional also, because past 2-3 years we have been discussing about the vision 2047. So the first point I told that you are asking us to make a vision for 2047 without involving the people who are going to lead 2047. We are surely not going to lead in 2047. So similarly here also, when we talk about the school safety or the safety in education, there has to be equal voices from the people who are actually direct beneficiaries. Second thing, why school safety? Why are we really concerned? That is very important, because in India, talking about school safety more than 25 or 30 years. What was the scenario earlier? What is now? What is gone change? We have the similar concepts now also. जैसे वो earthquake में हम कहते हैं झुको, ढको, पकड़ो, drop, cover and hold. ये इस तरह के tables में तो वो चलता है. But now schools के अंदर भी kind of furniture and घर के अंदर you have the glass dining tables. उसके अंदर तो that will be even more disastrous. So we are not evolving. So we have to come up. This just a small example. We have to be innovative. We have to be. अभी देखना changing scenario के साथ how are we really adapting? Just वो जो लिखा है उसको पढ़ा दो, कुछ करा दो. No, that is not going to work. The entire and the past 5-8 years, what we have seen disruptive change in both the things, technology and society both. Huge change in disruptive technology. सारा का सारा हमारा automated system है, IT based solutions से. Second thing, our life is also, we are not connected to each other in person, rather through gadgets. एक घर में 2 लोग रहते हैं, वो किसी को डिनर पे बुलाना है, उसको वो WhatsApp पे कहते हैं dinner is ready, please come. So how are we going to visualize the safety systems in the new world? Same is for schools also, same is for this education also. And the second issue that I want to flag, if we really want to talk about seriously, to talk about safety and education, 2 very fundamental principles. One, that I think some of the speaker triggered, flagged some other way, that think safety. Safety should be in the top of mind actually. Imposed safety would never work. It should automatically come in the mind. So how do we bring into our behavioral and our thinking system that we give safety a top priority? In India, we are always in a habit of venturing into unsafe situations. ट्रेन के अंदर आप देखेंगे, ट्रेन के अंदर बैठना बहुत कम लोग पसंद करते हैं. कई ऐसी सिचुएशंस में आप देखेंगे ट्रेन के ऊपर बैठना पसंद करते हैं. बस के अंदर बैठना पसंद नहीं करते, बस की छत पे बैठना पसंद करते हैं. ट्रेन में जो उनके कोचेस के ज्वाइंट्स पे बैठ के ट्रैवल करते हैं. आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग द एग्जांपल कि वेयर द अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड अवेयरनेस अबाउट द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ सेफ्टी एंड दैट आल्सो इंडिकेट्स द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ लाइफ, own life and other person's life. I think we have to bring in the minds. And schools also become victims. Education system becomes victims also. Any new concept, any new idea, everyone will say that let us change the curriculum. Let us bring this into curriculum. Curriculum has become so heavy. कुछ भी करना है, सारे स्कूल पे काम करो. Everyone will take school as a key stakeholder. उसके curriculum में डाल दो and people think that it is a Aladdin का चिराग. It will solve our problem. No. Basically, curriculum has not only for the schools, but for the entire society. We have to change the entire mindset of the entire society. Safety should flow not only in the schools, but at the home also. Because safety is school to home, is home to school and back to home. This is one thing. Second, school safety, they will talk about earthquake, they will talk about the catastrophic fire. वो पटाखे की फायर की बात क्यों नहीं करते? अगर if you don't talk about the crackers fire, how can we really prepare for catastrophic fire? Safety starts with the lower order risks. Thinking about even the risks which are not catastrophic, which are not lethal, we should have concern about those kind of the small incidences also, even which are not reportable, which are not very serious kind of, but those may lead to any kind of catastrophe. So I think we need to have a fresh relook and then invest properly in changing the mindset of the guardians, the children, teacher and the management. We have to work with a holistic understanding for this, and this is very much needed, because if we are really concerned about the future sustainability, these are the people who are going to be our leaders. So certainly it's very important that we work very seriously on the sustainability and safety of education system, because even if we talk about the business continuity, even our school system, education system becomes non-functional. How are we going to provide professional services, expertise, developing the experts for the future for catering those services? So I think these are very important points I wanted to flag.
Thank you so much. And I think before I make comments, I'd like you to also come in.
Yeah, so I'm going to respond to your question from a very educationist perspective, and wearing a teacher's hat, actually. And I think that I'm going to look at it from what is the purpose of education. It is to build thoughtful citizens. It is to build people who take action on the ground 20 years from now, in 2047, like Sir said. And it is to build probably people who have a sense of thinking on their own and being able to take action on their own, which we often call as, the educationists often call as agency, building their agency, or with people with agency. So I think when you look at it from that angle, the National Education Policy, the new one, the 2021, speaks about safety and sustainability from this holistic perspective, you know, and how teacher education can be therefore brought in for that, how curriculum change can be brought in for that. I want to also speak about what probably hasn't happened till now, which is that we do a lot of trainings. हम कुछ modules बना देते हैं, हम वो लेकर जाते हैं, हम expect करते हैं बच्चे सीख लेंगे, टीचर सीख लेंगे, education department के लोग सीख लेंगे. But what really probably is needed is, how does the mindset change? Because this is about behaviors. This isn't about कोई training ले ली और कुछ implement कर दिया. This isn't about that. So how does behavior change happens only when something gets internalized. Because at the time or at the moment of disaster, that new behavior has to kick in, not the old behavior. So I think it's a lot about that mindset change or behavior change that can happen, and probably the training and probably the curriculum development also probably is around that, is how I would look at it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anuradha ma'am?
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, thank you for inviting me. And I want to go back to your question when you said that how is safety and sustainability related, or is it related? So I think it is intrinsically related. So any system, if you see, which is not safe, it will not be sustainable. It is as simple as that. You look at any system. So I think there is no question. Safety and sustainability go hand in hand. And I want to also go back to Professor Pandey's, he mentioned about, children, like we are talking about, I think, what did he say about, I think he talked about like how we are, finding, the future generation has to be ready. And he also said that we are doing only, a band-aid solution, or just trying to find quick solutions. Yes. And also what will, I think we also, Professor Anil talked about, there's no voice, we are all discussing and the future generation is also, is not present. And he talked about regulations and also I feel personally as an educator, yes, policies and regulations are very important, yes, that is true. But it is again what Monal said, it is about individual behavior, mindset, intent. And that will come, when all of us look at it from that lens. So it is not like, okay, another curriculum, another policy, another this. Everything. So if I were a physics teacher or if I were a language teacher or anything, you don't need to change the curriculum. It is just that you're looking at it from this perspective. There is interconnectedness. What does my action do for me, for for others, for my environment, for for the future? So everything, whether, as individuals, and we are not talking just about children, we are talking about adults first. So how do children learn? Children learn from us. They are like a blank, initially when they don't have these, they are learning from us. So we need to, as adults, model it. And the second thing I wanted to say, take it from what Monal said, that schools are basically, I think you talked about full of schools. So schools are a microcosm of the society, and I think schools and teachers are gateways, to kind of, what it would look like. So, how do we build these caring, compassionate individuals who feel responsible and, who are not kind of just consuming blindly or, only your own feelings, and, both of us were discussing about socio-emotional and ethical learning. So again, we go back, are schools only meant to train children for livelihood? Is that the purpose of education? Or is it to foster and nurture the people who are going to lead tomorrow? And what would be, how would they be approaching things? So that is what I think we need to kind of focus on as far as I'm concerned. And, when we talk about safety, another aspect I want to kind of touch upon is, it's not just physical safety, it is emotional safety too. So here, like, I would want, because we talked about belief system and, we are born and in certain circumstances, certain social constructs are there, like just this Calcutta incident or other incidents where, girls are raped, women are raped. So, about consent, about, what is okay, what is not okay. So, we are always telling our girls, what kind of clothes to wear, and we say that why were you out? It was not safe, but why is it not safe? So till, we can provide this, and this, no government can ensure you can have as many police people on the roads, you can have as many people patrolling. It will not make a difference. What will make the difference is when we change our heart, and that is going to start from schools. And I'm not proposing a different curriculum or whatever. It has to be embedded. It has to be part of how we look at it. So again, it will have to start with vision, the school leaders, the training, how do we do, and it cannot be a one-off training. It cannot be like some ready-made thing and, everyone goes and does it. It has to be an engaging dialogue, ongoing training. So for that, which is sustainable. Sorry.
Thank you. So I think the three panelists have clearly emphasized that behavior change is what we need, whether it's within the school system or going beyond the school system. But I want to shift a bit because we're talking about safety and sustainability, and whenever we talk about safety, I think immediately the conversation goes to the building safety, or how we make a safe premise. And we have today a new angle, and I want to say this because, you know, the person I learned environment from is sitting in the first row, and we were taught not to talk about the negative side of environmental issues. We were taught not to emphasize risk so much. We were taught to give a very positive conversation on the environment and talk about how you could help in, you know, actually mitigating a risk. But today I think the conversation has become a lot about risks and about educating people on climate risks, the disasters, and we cannot avoid it. And so I'd like to come to Professor Gupta because he's worked extensively on climate risks and disaster risk reduction. But I'd request you to, you know, kind of focus the conversation on the topic that we're talking about, that within the school system, how do we prepare our children for this conversation? And should we really talk about the matters in a manner that we create a process where we scare the community, or is it, how do we find ways to mitigate those risks? So maybe something on that.
Thank you. So you used a word, scare the community. So वैसे तो तुलसीदास ने भी कहा है ना कि वो भय बिन होए न प्रीति. So in fact, talking about hazard, talking about the risk is the same concept. Until unless we know about the risk, we will not start of preparing or responding to that or mitigating to that. So basically, the perception about hazard, perception about risk is very, very important. So that is the first thing. And talking about the initiatives with the school systems or education systems, so I often say that India is a highly undulating terrain. Many times we may like to refer only the worst case scenarios, but India produces the best case scenarios also. Very good examples also. I am just talking about the NCR Delhi, and Dr. Harsh Gupta Sahab is sitting here as a chance, and when he was member NDMA, that period I recall that we motivated many schools in Delhi to prepare and rehearse their disaster management plans, and we instituted some awards for the best plans also. And many of those schools are still continuing doing that, continuing those mock drills also. Only thing that the good cases have to be replicated substantially and multiplied in a very high numbers and very high rate. We should not be very slow. So this is one thing. Second thing, we need to bring in the new aspects of risk. For example, now surrounded by the electronic gadgets, more and more electrified systems, many new kind of things are emerging. So just 4 quick points in response to your question. One is that how do we perceive the climate change related or even non-climatic hazards also to education and schools. So we have very clear examples. We don't have to do a lot of research. Many of the coaching institutions got fire in past 4, 5, 6 years. Surat incident, Kolkata, Delhi, Gurgaon incident, Dwarka, several incidences are there. Kumbhakonam, still we have not forgotten. Bhuj earthquake, we have not forgotten. So schools were the primary victims in many cases. Second thing, we also recall 2019, the health emergency because of the high level of air pollution in Delhi. So lateral dimensions are also emerging, which were not considered as a kind of a disaster. So new disasters are emerging. Heat wave has emerged and a new kind of disaster, which we have never thought. Urban flood or water logging. Simple water logging, which is not in fact a disaster all the time, but will disrupt your education services. That's very important. Schools, we are talking about the toilets in schools. If the toilets are flooded, our toilets are run out of water. In both the cases, too little water or too much water. If toilets are not functional, how you expect that girl child comes and stays in school? So there are so many interconnectivities that we need to study. And what happens that many times we look at the school safety highly in isolation. So that's very important. Infrastructure. And then school safety, if we talk about the school safety issues in Chanakyapuri area, it will be different. In a posh area, it will be different. But if you go to peri-urban areas, the peripheral areas of Delhi, Badarpur and other things. Even the water sanitation can stop children, water sanitation issues will stop children going to school. There's a garbage dump on the way to school. And we expect that children to pass through that garbage where they pass and they reach a school. Then many times even children have to be along with their mother and father, they have to be in queue for water. There are incidences in Delhi, in Delhi also and many other places also. So infrastructure failure, infrastructure functioning failure, food, nutrition, even employment, even the safety and security of their parents also. If their parents are ailing, if both parents are ailing or something happened to their parents, how can we expect their children to come to the schools? So I think safety in school or safety in education have to be seen both ways, in a holistic way. Second point, when it comes to role of education system, that's very, very important, because these are the people, and if you look at even the schools, 10th or 11th, 12th standard people, now students are very innovative. They have that kind of potential. They are coming up, they are now talking about the startups, innovations, business opportunities. And if we include undergrads and even more, if we cover those also under schools, actually that is the future. So we integrate, we just infuse the ideas that how entrepreneurship opportunities are there in the climate change domain, green growth domain, disaster management domains. Many students would like to think about that, come up with new ideas. And the third thing, any kind of mission requires support from economic fraternity. So if we also look at that, what are the business opportunities in the area of safety, in the area of disaster management? Until unless we look at that, market is not going to support. And if market is not going to support, the social change without market support, talking may be good. We may talk about welfare, we may talk about hypothetical things, but it's not possible. Whether because of the business interests and then the CSR and other kind of supports, then all kind of supports will come. If there are business interests, all kind of supports will come for anything. So I think these are the 3 points I wanted to tell. And the 4th point, that 5 segments: nutrition, health, protection, particularly of the girl children, these kind of issues. Then education system itself, the location of the building, whether building is vulnerable to flooding, heat or whatever. So I think these are few points I thought that from my perspective, these are very important dimensions to have a clear model and then local contextualization. Because the same model may not work exactly in Gujarat, same model may not work in Tamil Nadu, same model will not at all work in Northeast. Distance and many things will come and play different roles. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I mentioned one disaster in terms of climate, and sir has given us 10 more. So I'm just wondering whether we need to go back to old school thinking and talk about the positive aspects of how to deal with these disasters, because it's a scary world out there. But I want to, that's why I come to Monal now, because, and focus on pillar 2 that we talked about in terms of the UNESCO framework. And wanted to ask you, since you've been involved in going beyond the schools and looking at, disaster risk management, safety of schools from the perspective of continuity, education continuity, and the child's health. So maybe you would like to talk about some of the work you're doing so that, we also talk about some solutions.
Yeah, thanks. I'll give some examples, live examples from the ground actually, to speak about this. One, I think a lot of the focus needs to be on compassion. And when I say compassion, it means that it is compassion for all living and non-living beings. Because that actually brings, we have seen that brings children to start thinking about what is the interdependence with not just other people, but also with nature, with whatever the resources that are available around them. So, just one example of that, if I give, we were doing something with children and we used art for that, and a child drew